Hey guys, how's it going? Ghostly Rich here today, and today we're going to be working on the 99 TJ. So the first thing that we're going to be doing is, if you take a look here, we're going to be taking off, or not taking off, but loosening these bolts while the Jeep is on the ground. Next thing we're going to do is we're going to take a pick. We're going to pick out this center cap, so that way we can get at the wheel hub. So that way we can just crack it loose. Easier to do when it's on the ground. So first crack all 5 and then you should be good. The other thing I will tell you to do is we are going to be lifting the Jeep, so make sure that you go and put your e-brake on, and if you have a couple of little mini stands, you can always shove them under the tire. They look like that. You shove them under the tire so that way no matter what it's going to roll, not going to roll back. If you're doing the rear ones, it could be a little bit more tricky. Make sure you put those under the front tires and block them so that way if you have a standard Jeep it doesn't roll. Take off all 5 bolts, take the tire out of the way, or use it as a seat. Then you have a seat while you're doing your project today. Next thing we're going to do, remove this bolt that is right here. Sorry, pointing at the nipple. Right here is the bolt, and then there's one more right on the back right here. It's a 13 mil. Just loosen these up and we're going to just take them right out so we can slide the caliper off. What you're going to do, make sure this is out of the way, hammer that, and you're going to continuously go around, slowly spin it, hammer, spin, hammer, and you'll slowly see it works its way off the hub. It's going to be loud, it's going to be annoying, and you're just going to continuously hit the back end here and spin. So hit, spin, then you'll see all of a sudden you'll start making crazy movement and it'll be right here. Now just take it off so we can expose the hub. So once you get your new rotor and you slide it on, or in your case, who knows, but yes, once you get the new rotor, slide it on, boom, look at that, looks beautiful. If it's not sinking it all the way, you could be like I originally did, and I had the pan guard that is supposed to protect the caliper on the wrong way. It won't allow it to sit back far enough. So now that I can see it sits far enough, we're doing good. Now, so this just sits right here. And you might be like, why does it sit so loose? Don't worry. Over time, from the wheel being compressed on it and heat and everything, you'll hate it. It will sit super tight, which taking it off, I'm sure you've seen. It's kind of crazy. It literally welds itself to the back. All right, so now that this is on there like that, let's start working with the caliper and the brake pads. What we're going to do is we're going to be using a screwdriver to push this back, or a plier, so that way we can push the caliper in and slide in our new pads. The easiest way that I've found to, if you don't have a circle clamp to bring your disc brake pad back in, the best way I've found is if you take your old rotor, put it on. Take the old caliper, put it here, line up the 2 bolts, just tie them in. Don't torque them to spec, just tie them in. After you do that, take a pry bar or a big, and I mean a big screwdriver, and you're just going to go like right here, and you're going to hold sort of the front of the brake, and then you're going to be prying on this while putting pressure on here. Crack the bleeder. This is a 10 millimeter. Crack the bleeder, have your pot underneath, and then just squish it back. Now see, the piston will go in as you press, and then right after you're done, quickly tie that in, and then you can take your screwdriver out. I've already done this, and then now I'm just going to loosen these bolts off, take this off, put our new rotor on, and then I'm going to put on our new pads. This is what I meant, one of those winding clamps, but this is actually a brake tool caliper squish. So it's meant to actually push the piston back in. So when it's done, it should be flat like that. After it's flat like so, now we can start putting in our new stuff. So we're going to put in the new rotor now, and we're going to put in our new brake pads. The new pad, how you know? There's the 3 teeth, writing and whatnot. Just face it. There's your little tooth. Want that facing that way. We're going to squeeze that pad in like so. And then of course the next pad, which is our up top pad. As you can see, teeth line up at the very top, and we're just going to pinch this in. It just sandwiches in there. One tooth goes in there. And then, yeah, other one will go in there. I'll show you in a sec. As you can see, brake pads are in. They fit around the rotor. Their bottom teeth, which are in the shape of hooks, will slide. You just slide them, wiggle them up onto there, and then you should be able to slide it forward. Just a little bit of playing. That's all this takes. And again, it can be fun. Just a warning. And then the other thing you got to make sure you do is back off on the caliper. There's those two rubber pieces. You have to pull them out towards the body, so that way you can slide it around there. So let's see how good we're doing. That needs to come down there. That slides on right there. Perfect. Caliper is seated. Now we just need to thread the two bolts in. So for the brake caliper bolts right there, the mounting bolts, I just looked up online and they're saying 11 foot-pounds of torque. All I will say for you to do is, if you don't have a torque wrench, just use one hand and tighten them with one hand with your ratchet. So, example, go like this, and once you snug it up, go maybe quarter to half a turn more, and go like this. If it doesn't move, you're good. And I mean, I'm looking at this, and this ain't moving. Looking at my brake pads, they're set. Perfect. New rotor, new pads installed. Copy that for the other side if you got to do the other side. From this point, what you're going to do is put your rim back on. Put your rim back on and just loosely put the bolts in. Like, just do it hand tight with a ratchet. Don't crank them down, because it's much easier to just drop the Jeep back onto the rim and then, or onto the wheel. And then after you have it on the wheel, then you torque them to spec. You can put them to 65 pounds of torque, anywhere between 65 and 110, whatever you're comfortable with, and then just check your torque specs. And if you don't have a torque wrench, just tighten them until, like, really tight. You want them on nice and tight, so that way if you have to come back, or so that way, of course, your wheel doesn't fall off when you're going down the road. So it's always good to go tighter. The only thing that sucks about going too tight is if you have to do roadside maintenance and you don't have a nice wrench, it's very hard to take off. So yeah, just put your rim back on, tighten those nuts up, and you're good. Thanks again for watching. Have a great day.